Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our session for this week after a bit of a long time. And I hope that I think there's an activity that we didn't do together, but I think it was just a small activity. It was not very hectic. I hope you managed to do it. I think there are two. The first one was whereby you were supposed to listen to a presentation from Saika on social media. Then you were supposed to do that exercise and then answer a quiz which was based on that. Then the second one was just about I think I'll just check now what it is about. So I hope you did those two. I think because they were due on the over the past week. Unfortunately, that was the period of the holidays. Right. So today we're going to proceed from where we left over. So I will just go a little bit back from where we left over, because my aim today is to make sure that uh, we manage to catch up on what we missed, which we were doing in the other assignments, and then also to move forward and maybe discuss a little bit on your next task that you should be doing. Right. Yes, I understand. I understand that they have to do with groups. That's what we'll be discussing here. I know what they are all about, those assignments. Right. In our previous class that we did, we discussed communication. And also thank you so much for alerting us so that we can be able to work together. And right. So before we look at, but I think I want to briefly, because the task that next that you are doing is not dependent on what we will discuss here. It's dependent on your contribution and those of others. I think you've been put in groups. So I will just give you advice. Then when you go there, you go and, or maybe some of you have already started. So they are group tasks, but we'll be discussing, although some of the tasks are group tasks, we will be discussing in class so that we can be able to know what to do along the way. Right. When you are communicating, remember we said that it's very, very important to know how to communicate. And it's very, very easy for you to think that you are bringing a message in the proper manner when you are, it can be misinterpreted. The last time we talked about ways in which even your culture can interpret something. They can be something that you can think that it's proper, but when you go to others, then they'll say, this can't be. It can't be like that. Or maybe there are other cultures who do certain things which in your culture they are not acceptable. Not just culture, there are things that are done that are acceptable generally to South Africans, to the majority of South Africans, which you find that if, let's say, a Kenyan comes in, they will not maybe accept it. Or maybe some things that are accepted by Kenyans which cannot be accepted, which are considered not to be good by South Africans. It can be the way of greeting, it can be the way how they eat or whatever it is. There are problems that can happen in communication. So the aim that we have as a practicing CA or an auditor is to make sure that you are able to communicate well, both as an individual and in groups, right? One of the ways to ensure that you communicate well is to use the proper channel. You have to know that this time around I should use an email. There are things that I should not use an email. I should not even do a phone call. I should go and meet my sister. This does not need me to call. It's a sensitive issue. It needs me to sit with her face to face and discuss. Then there are things that that, okay, this one I can just do a phone call. This one I can just prepare a report and send to my supervisor. So you have to in order for your communication to achieve the intended objective, you have to make sure that you select the appropriate channel. All right. Different channels can be used for communication. And they can either be written. When we're talking about written, it can be handwritten. Maybe it's you write a paper on a paper, then you send that report to your colleague. It can be a receipt that you write, then you give the customer. That's communication that that customer has bought goods for 30,000. It can be a letter that you write to your father and you send it via postnet. It can be a letter from the lawyer, which is handwritten. Or we can type. Whether you type or it's handwritten, it's written at the end of the day. Right. Then we can also have oral communication or spoken communication. Right. It can be a telephone. We can speak face to face, or like what we are doing right now via meetings. We can even speak. Or it can be, I can send a voice note via WhatsApp. That is oral communication. Right. So any of these modes can be used to convey a message. And as the communicator, you should evaluate which can be unacceptable. You can find that there are some situations whereby you can either do a written and oral, it can have the same effect. Let's say, for example, if you want to tell your father that you'll be going there next week, if you send a voice note or you write a letter, all will work. But you might find that maybe my letter might take 5 days to get there because of delays by postnet. So maybe it might arrive whilst I'm already there. So well, it's better to do a call. But if it can arrive on time and you are guaranteed that it will arrive, whether use oral or written, there's no problem with that. Right. Then within those channels, the channels that can be used either in written or oral form. So we're saying whatever I'm going to include now fits above either written or oral there. Right. You can it can be an email, a telephone, meeting, for example, Zoom, instant messaging. It can even be social media, your WhatsApp, your Telegram, Instagram, Facebook. All those you can use them to communicate. It can be a letter, a report, or memorandum that you pass through. So whatever it is, you have to decide on which is the best mode of communication. I think some of you have grown up in situations whereby you can send a message, then someone will even ignore it. Especially those who come from traditional settings, you will be told that no, such a message you can't send via phone. You were supposed to come to me and face me and tell me face to face. So you have to know which best channel you can use in a particular situation to achieve the best results. Any questions so far? right? So you'd find that with technology, there's been an increase in the use of non-traditional forms of communication. You'd find that people now find it easier to just send a WhatsApp when you are sending a message. They can just go and use Twitter to communicate. And you'd find that there are various benefits of using social media. So there's been an increase in the use of social media in terms of communication. So you can find that even in companies, they can form a group on WhatsApp whereby official communication can be done. So you can see that social media is now even has now become part and parcel of the formal communication structures of organizations. Right. The benefits of using social media, there's an issue of cost. You'd find that for you to send a WhatsApp, you can buy a monthly data bundle for WhatsApp. And you know that if you don't download a lot of things there on WhatsApp, you can be able to communicate even for the whole month. For example, with the MTN, you can buy the is it the 20-day or whatever for 30 rand. Then you know you can communicate for the whole month. And there are some even that are even cheaper. Unlike traveling to communicate with someone. Or maybe always posting and faxing documents, which can be costly. So you'd find that it's cheaper. You can find that there are many people out there who are not even working who are in rural areas, and maybe even students who can now just receive information via WhatsApp, which is cheaper than other methods like what that used to be done, like photocopying the whole book and stuff like that. Photocopying whole notes, now they can receive them via WhatsApp. All right. They can also be faster communication. If you send a WhatsApp right now, if someone is on WhatsApp, they can be able to see it now and see everything that we have messaged. We're talking about problems with posting it. Maybe we're saying that if you post, you are not even guaranteed that it will arrive on time. I think UNISA students have felt that with some of you receiving your study material well after your exam date. Right. Increased reach. You can see that you can send messages to your contacts through WhatsApp, maybe through groups and stuff like that. You can find that in an organization, instead of talking to the employees one by one about a message, like what used to happen long back, that if you have got a message that you need to tell your team, you're the supervisor, you have got 20 people that work under you, and you want to give them a message, you were supposed to call them one by one, tell them what you need to do, or send a message to each and every person one by one. But right now, you can just post on your group and everyone gets the message. And you can see if you're selling products, if you've got active groups, maybe you've got family groups, you've got work groups, you've got church groups. If you just post your advert there that you do this, you do plumbing and stuff like that, it can easily circulate. So you can find that now you no longer even, I think most of us guys, we no longer have to do the old way of looking for something, walking around, checking where social media, find those things being advertised there. Right. Then the connections crossing boundaries. You'd find that social media is enabled you to connect with people in Canada. You can now even talk to people whom you don't even know, you have never met. You just see pictures. And maybe some of them, their pictures are not even theirs. But sometimes you can have positive communication that can help both of you. Maybe it's just a discussion on management accounting. Then you discuss with someone whom we don't even know. Then you become study partners. They are studying in Australia, you're studying in South Africa, but they are related issues that you discuss on IFRIS. right? So there can be a broader, it is related to that reach that we're talking about. So we're saying there can be a broader access that can be permitted by, that can be facilitated by social media, right? So those are some of the benefits of social media. But at the same time, if you listened to the video that was posted, which was the basis of the previous assessment, social media is good and it can provide various advantages. But on the other hand, as a professional, you have to be watchful of your steps on social media. Whatever you do, it might catch up with you one day. You see now, when someone rises to another position, then you simply see the cases coming up. Your posts that you did 2013, which were not in the right, which are not in line with what we want to do right now, can be in the spotlight. Actually, these days, some companies, they can even search your social interactions. Then they can to evaluate the type of person you are. And you can be found that maybe you were some time back, you made comments that might compromise whatever post you are applying for, and that might even cost you. So as a result, also social media users, we're not saying you should stop, but you should use the social media carefully in ways that do not compromise you as a professional, and that does not compromise your company at the same time. So as a result, we have got risks associated with use of social media, right? Right. A false news can easily spread. We always talk about the July 2021 damages that happened during that time when former President Zuma was incarcerated, and social media is highly suspected to have played a part in spreading whatever happened during that period. And you might find that in some situations it can be correct, what can spread. But if I want to, I think all of us at one time, we have seen a message spreading on social media and we see it in many groups only to be confirmed that it's wrong. There are people who have died on social media, but they're still alive. There are reputations of companies that have been damaged on social media. So you find that some of those things have led even into legal issues for businesses. Right. Some communities are not on social media, or maybe you want to communicate, to make a communication, but some of the people whom you want to communicate to are not social media users. There are people who are old school, who are not willing to move towards what is happening currently in terms of technology. There are also some, because of resources they can't access. There are also some who suffer because of network issues. Maybe they are in a deep rural area. So you might find that use of social media might not achieve the targeted goal when it can reach all of the people that are supposed to be reached. Right. There can be misinterpretation. As we said, different cultures, different people, different backgrounds, different social behaviors can interpret the same thing differently. So we can have different communities. Maybe it can be due to their lifestyle, their beliefs, their education, or whatever it is. They can easily misinterpret or some communication. As you know that usually on social media, sometimes things are not kept all that formal, which might mislead the users of the information. Right. Sensitive information can go public. I think you know that there are strategies that are within the organization, and as a professional, one of the qualities that you should maintain is confidentiality. And use of social media can easily make your information to be accessible to others by mistake or deliberately. For example, you can easily send a message to a colleague based on work or your client, then the client sends it outside quickly without your knowledge. Then you see someone sending you your message that you had sent somewhere else. Right. Then, according to the Fortune School of Business, they've also argued that there is no direct link link between profitability and use of social media. So, how, according to this group, how social media benefits you, it has not been all that proven that social media is pushed up. As I think you know, you have heard that most people they say that social media is really maybe done good for business and stuff like that. But these guys, they say there is no proof that indeed social media is led to such an increase in business. Right. So you as a professional accountant, as a professional maybe auditor, you are supposed to make sure that you are very careful when it comes to using social media. Because whatever you say there may cause problems for you. So that's why you are heavily encouraged to make sure that you watch whatever you post. You make sure that you only post on safe platforms, although we know that there are no platforms that are 100% safe, but make sure that whatever you do, it might not bring questions on you in future. It might not happen now. I think you know that most things, they don't catch up with you when you are a small boy or a small girl. The moment you become big, that's where it comes. I think we saw it in politics in Swane, whereby the mayor, they said that the mayor did this, the mayor is fired. You go to Joburg, the mayor is, today there's a mayor, in about a month or so, you hear there's this and this issue. Right now, a new mayor, you hear that this funeral scam and stuff like that. So these things can spread and stuff like that. So whatever you do on social media, one day it might catch up with you. So you have to be aware of the threats that are posed by the use of social media. So use it very carefully. That's the issue that they are actually giving you here. Right. Then the next thing, so do we have any questions on social media, on communication? We don't have. Right. Now let me introduce. Right. So after that, I hope you managed to do your assignment, which was based on the document that, like on the video that was posted on my unis. So it's I hope you managed to do it. Right. Then you were also supposed to do another one that is on risks. You were just supposed to, this one was a very easy one. You were just supposed to maybe post on the risks that are associated with social media. So you could just take any of these things and post them. Right. Next thing, we'll talk about teams. There's a concept that you can't do all things on your own. Usually there are synergy benefits that arise due to working together. You'd find that in your family, if you had to wake up, do everything for yourself from morning until evening, you'd find that it might not be possible for you to do everything that you did today. But you are here because there are some people who did something that you were supposed to do on your own. It might be at work, it might be home, it might be church, friends, relatives. There is somewhere where you need someone. There was someone who had to drive a taxi to take you to work. There was someone who had to be at the service station when you were driving your vehicle to fill up your tank. There was someone maybe maybe some of you went home and found food had already been cooked. Some of you last washed your clothes long back. Someone is washing your clothes. So you'd find that when people work together, they are likely to produce better results compared to when they stand it alone. So because of that, it is very, very, very important that individuals can be able to participate in teams. That's why you see the promotion of teamwork. You would find that long back, the focus was only on you and you and you and your learning. But you'd find that now, these days, there are some things that you are now evaluated on, which you have to do with colleagues. Right. So a team is basically a group of people working together for a common cause or to achieve the same objective. So we are not just working to achieve the same objective, we are working together for you to be able to achieve that objective. Right. Then you'd find that the characteristics of teams they are defined goals. For a team to work, we should know what are we trying to achieve. You have a group of friends, maybe from school. Every day, it cannot, sometimes it's not even communicated, but there's something that you have to follow, what you try to achieve. Right, so if they've got a number of people, right, there is communication within the group, there's interdependence with members, they depend on each other. Then there are roles. that have to be played by the parties in the group. So you have got a goal that you want to achieve, and there are roles of each member that each member has to be able to achieve, right? There are many teams that maybe you have been part of. Maybe you played football, you played cricket, you were part of a team. Maybe at church, you were part of the church choir. At home, you might have particular groups also within the family that deal with certain issues. Maybe you are sisters or brothers who sometimes sit together and discuss family issues without the others. That means you are a team that is doing something there. It can be at work. You might have departmental meetings whereby you shape the way forward that you have to follow for you to achieve the objectives of the entity. So at the end of the day, we're saying a team should have members that are trying to achieve the same objectives, right? Then we look at qualities of team members. Right. There are certain qualities that have to be demonstrated according to the University of Waterloo's document. So they say that all teams, for them to work effectively, they should have the following qualities. Right. Number one, openness. There's nothing as difficult as members who are working together, but one of disclosing all the information which is for that purpose to each other. We are talking to someone, but someone is hiding crucial information on the issue that we are discussing. At the end of the day, you'll be arriving at wrong conclusion. So it is very important that there should be openness within the group, whereby members of the group should be able to listen and consider others. I think we talked about netiquette in the previous classes, whereby we talked about ways that you should interact with others, even on the discussion forum. So we should have openness and willingness to hear each other's side and support each other. So regardless of our different ideas, regardless of our different backgrounds, we should be open enough to allow everyone to express themselves within the boundaries of the contract that we have as group members. So we should not just interrupt. Let's say a member is presenting, then you just say, no, that's not true. Get time to understand, then find ways, respectable ways of shaping them. So there should be openness within the group. Right. Number two, so as a group member, you should be open to others. When we say open, we don't mean that you just say anything, even that is nothing to do. We are saying for those issues that pertain to the group, you should be open enough to the group members, and you should allow others also to open up. Right. Trust and self-disclosure. I think some of you were included in groups whereby you don't know some of the people, you don't know their backgrounds. Then suddenly you are with some people who behave in ways that you might not you might consider appropriate. So the issue here is for a group to work well, there should be trust that can be developed. I think I will show you on one of the documents that you are given on my UNISA on tips that you can follow to have a workable group. I think I will show the document, and now it's also on my UNISA, whereby you can be able to see how you can be a better group. Right. So if there's trust, that can also help members to do the number one, to be open enough. And you'll be willing to say whatever you want to say because you trust others that they will help you. But if you think that the others will shut you down and will not support you, you don't trust them, even your good ideas will not come up. So at the end of the day, there should be a creation of trust within the group. So before you actually move forward and work more, you should trust each other. Right. Number 3, there should be support. Why people go into groups is because the teams can produce better results than me working alone. So if the group cannot support me, why stress? It's rather better to be alone. So for groups to work, group members should support each other. When the group members come to your inbox discussing issues that pertain to your group of the work, be willing to attend to them, answer them. When they've got questions and they've got the knowledge, be willing to share. So the purpose of the group is to have group members achieving more than what they could achieve alone. That means my weaknesses, what I don't understand, might be understood by a member of the group. And if I pose a question, some members of the group should be able to help me. So that's why groups were formed, so that we can be able to move forward together. Number 4, respect. We should respect each other in the group. Don't be too bossy, too quiet. Within the parameters of what happens in the group, learn to speak to others respectively, to conduct yourself respectively. So your focus should be how you can improve what the team does. Don't have personal issues with group members. If there's a conflict, I think there are issues of conflict management. We have to find ways to deal with those conflicts within the group. Right. So these are the 4 qualities of team members that can be helpful. So you should be open enough regarding the issues that are discussed in the group. You should have trust with others, and for that to be there, usually it takes all the group members to build trust. It can only come over time. You should also be willing to support the group members. Where you see weaknesses, find ways to discuss with them and help them to go up. Because remember that a house that is divided against itself, it cannot achieve anything. And respect the group members. Right. Then you were supposed to also, if I still remember quite well, you were supposed to also post something on this. I think there was an activity on this. Right. So you were just supposed to choose one of these 4 qualities. And out of that one, then you just expand how you expect them to do. Maybe you could say that I expect support from my team members. If I ask a question, they should be willing to answer as much as they can. If there are resources that help us to achieve what we want is to achieve as a group, and we need those resources, we should be able to get that information. Right. Then after that, right, is one of our team members here. We are a team, so we know that we're a team. So we should have those qualities for this class to move forward properly. Right. Is rightfully stated by one of our colleagues, the next activities are group activities. The next activities are group activities. So because these are group activities, your final document, you will not be doing it with me. You will do with your group members. So please, guys, here I just give you advice on the next 3 activities. Like today, I will be giving you advice on the team contract. Next week, you will look at the other group activity if it's possible. There are things that are not possible for us to do, then I won't be able to do them. Just like if you have to attend a webinar, you have to attend that webinar. And there will be a quiz, remember that, pertaining to those webinars. Please attend those webinars. If you fail to attend, make sure that you take time to listen to the recording, because they post the recording usually a day or a few days after, so that it can allow you to answer the quiz. Right, let me just quickly, when you go on my UNISA, you can also be assisted by this document, which is on your screen. The tips for you to have an effective team. Right, you should make sure that you know your team members. Maybe some of you, you don't even know the groups that you are in. And then on the due date, you are now looking for the members. You'd find that there are some of the things that they will ask the group members to rate each other. Now, if they don't know you, they will say, we didn't even see him. And you get a 0. So it is important that as a group, we know exactly what we want to do. We should be aware of the due dates, when we should do what, and the deliverables. What is it that have to be produced on which day? We should also have policies and standards within the group. Then you should know your team members. Know all the people that you are working with. You should have your phone numbers, or maybe a group. These days we are lucky with WhatsApp. You can create a group. Right. Gather the information and store it in a safe place, so that if you want to communicate with your members, you can easily communicate with them. Then as a group, we have to decide how and when you communicate with one another. Let's say we can say we should have a meeting every weekend. How? We should have our meeting via Zoom. Who should initiate the meeting? The chairperson. Who is the chairperson? This person. Or maybe it can be rotated. It's not always that it should be just the same person. So we should discuss as a group. So if you are in a group and you haven't met, please, you have to make sure that you contact your group members. Then first, you have a meeting. The first meeting should be to sort of create a constitution on your group. Maybe the first one is to introduce each other and know each other, but because of the time limits, you might even, that in that first one, you know each other, and then you also create your constitution. How you are going to operate as team members. When do you meet? Choose a time that is convenient for all of you, so that you can be able to attend the meetings. It's not proper that you choose a time whereby some members will not be there all the time. Find a time that maybe, of course, we know that some members might not come on some occasions, but let's find a convenient time for all of us. Right, you should also decide on the roles of everyone. Who is it? Who will schedule the meetings? Who is going to take notes? Maybe there will be a secretary. You can appoint a permanent person, or as we said, the roles can be rotated. Right, determine the specific task for each person. Let's say it's a research, then you ask the members to do this part, that part, and that part. Right, commit to attendance, that you attend as long as practicable. Agree to software and formats that will be used for the project. You even have to agree on the resources. Maybe you need to buy a computer for the group. You have to agree on that. Right. Then I think you can go on the rest of the things. You should take responsibility, continue to fulfill your roles. So please, can you look at this document? It's there on my UNISA. And if you don't find it, I can always, maybe when I send the notes, I will just send it. Right. So let me quickly give you a guideline on the team contract. Right. Please, your next assessment, which you are supposed to submit, I think by the 17th, you are not going to send it on your own. It's not on your own. This thing should be for all of you. So this is a document that you and your team members should produce. So it's unlike, that's why I'm saying that it's unlike that we do something here. Here, I can only give you ideas of maybe some of the ideas that you can go to your group. Is that right? You leave your responsible tutor. I think you can get it on my UNISA. Your group number that will be given on my UNISA. Then the team members. You have to have your team members here. All right. Then this is an agreement. I think there's no one who can fail to fill this first part. Roles and responsibility. You should have a team leader if he's there, but you're not forced to have a team leader. So you can have you can even state that the leadership of the group, if you don't have a specific leader, you can agree that the leadership would be rotated. But if it can also be good to choose one team leader. Right. Then you should also give the responsibilities of the leader. Maybe he is the one who is responsible for calling up for meetings, to lead the meetings, set the agenda for the meetings, and stuff like that. So you could find that that can also be related. Right. So this one, the administrative duties. Sorry, you also have to state who has got these administrative duties. Like, for example, setting the meeting, the agenda, attendance. Who does that? So that the meeting will have direction. So here you dwell on the responsibilities of the chairperson, of the team leader. Maybe he's the one who is responsible for coordinating the efforts of the team members. Maybe he chairs the meetings of the group. And also maybe if there's a conflict, he handles that conflict. If there are any issues that have to be dealt with, he also does that. They can even be voting, whereby maybe let's say you are 7, then you can say the chairperson can give the deciding vote if there's a tie. Right. Then you have other team roles. The roles will depend on the scope of the tasks that are being done at that particular time. So they will determine the roles that you give to each other. For example, you might have someone who will be responsible for taking the notes every time that you do the meetings. Right. Then the team relationships. Right. You can state that we expect that we have to respect each other. And in all our communications, we should communicate in a way that gives each and every person a chance to participate in the activities of the organization. For example, so you should give a clearer picture. So the team relationships, these are sort of the rules of coordinating between the team members. So all your rules, so it's sort of your constitution regarding how you relate to each other. That maybe we expect to attend the meetings each and every week. We expect members to participate in the meetings. We expect members to speak respectively to each other. Right. So you would these are just the team rules. I'm just giving you a guideline, right? Then on the documentation, what is it? What are the reports, or maybe the reports that have to be produced? Maybe let's say, for example, like on this exercise that you are doing, there's a document that is the contract that is supposed to be submitted, I think by the 17th on Wednesday next week. So this contract has to be submitted. So we have to know how are you going to compile that that contract. Maybe there are inputs from members. When are they going to be done, and when are you going to compile whatever the outcomes of the various suggestions from the various team members? When do you expect the members to sign the contract? Where are the documents of the team going to be kept, and how safe will they be? How do you safeguard them so that they don't go into the wrong hands? So all those issues should be dealt with on the documentation. Then section 5, conflict resolution. Right, if a team member does not provide the information required by the due date, what do you do? If a team member does not attend meetings, what do you do? If team members attend meetings but they don't even say anything, they are just present in the meetings, what is the procedure that you follow? If there is a conflict between members, if there are arguments, how do you solve them? If members do not meet deadlines, how are you going to solve the issue? So this deals with any, so it's rather better to give the rules so that by this we should do this, and if we fail to do this, if members do not comply with this, what are the repercussions for that? Right, then there can also be any other issues other than the things that we have talked about there. Maybe you can talk about the period of the group, that maybe the group will be maybe for 4 weeks and then it will be disbanded. Because I think your group will be the group, all the group tasks you'll be doing with your group that you have been allocated. So my friends, you are supposed to sign this team contract by Wednesday next week. This team contract, you are supposed to do it with your group members. So any questions on the team contract? Right, if you don't have any questions, so please go and make sure that you contact your groups, because I don't think that next week, unless you have got any questions, you can always ask next week, but I don't think we'll have time that we can look at it, considering that it's due on Wednesday and most of you are going to work. I would suggest that you deal with the team contract by weekend latest if you have not dealt with it already, because you'd find that some of you will be working. So for you to deal with it next week, make sure that you contact your group. If you don't know your group, make sure that you look for it on my UNISA, then get your group, and then to be able to work with your team members to create that contract. It's not a complicated document. It's just like a constitution of the group. Okay. If we don't have any questions, then thank you so much and God bless you richly.